Good morning. Well, I say good morning because to me it's morning. Otherwise, if I start saying good afternoon, the whole day's gone. Hi, everybody. I'm Russ Kane. This is the Midday Show. It is Friday, June the 6th. I'm going to do something a little unusual to do to kick off the show. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for letting me join you. And that is this. I would like to wish my mum a heavenly happy birthday. And mum would have been 100 years old today. Yeah. She would have been moaning about my hair because it looks ridiculous today. But mum would have been 100 years old today. And I remember watching The Girl from U.N.C.L.E. with her. And the Girl from U.N.C.L.E., the name they gave the character was April Dancer. April Dancer. I said, what a ridiculous thing. What a ridiculous thing to name somebody after a month of the year. And I said, what's your name? June? Oh, no. Anyway, happy heavenly birthday, Mum. I may return to that. Now, someone very much with us. He is fearless. He doesn't care what he says because he speaks from the heart. Ladies and gentlemen, our very own Theatre Critic. No one can get a gin and tonic faster from the bar than him on Press Night. Jonathan Baz.
Russ, hello. And
Hello.
Equally, a very happy centenary to your mother.
I can't believe it.
Your beautiful mother of blessed memory.
Bless, she was indeed.
Clearly, the beauty has skipped a generation as I look at yourself.
Oh, I'm so sorry. That is such a shame because Jonathan seems to have gone there. I don't know what happened to that signal. That's such a... Let's see if I can get him back.
And here we are.
Yeah, you were saying, mister? All right, I'm going to make you the big star now. There you go. You're the big star.
Moving on and talking about things theatrical.
Yes.
A handful of shows to touch upon. One of which brand new to opening this week. A couple that have been going already for a couple of weeks. So let's head off first of all to the South Bank, the National Theatre, for the London launch premiere of the last Sondheim show called, there won't be any more, called Here We Are. And this is, to use the footballing parlance, this really is a show of two halves. And I'll come on and explain why. Here we are.
So I've heard, Jonathan. So I've heard.
Here We Are is music and lyrics by the great man himself, book by David Ives, and directed by a chappie called Joe Mantello, who directed it in New York a year or two ago and has now brought his direction over to the United Kingdom. And this is an unusual show. It is still running, and it's running, by the way, listeners take note, until the 28th of June. And it's a very obscure and bit of a niche concept because it's a musical based around two of the movies of that auteur, if that's the way of pronouncing it, director, Luis Buñuel. Now,
Un Chien Andalou would be one of his.
Indeed.
And go on.
For me, actually, one of my favorites, which wasn't referenced in this musical, was The Phantom of Liberty, which had an immortal scene, and I'll reference that, even though it's got nothing to do with the show. It's got an immortal scene. You know, in society, we socialize when we eat our meals. And when we need to go to the lavatory, that's a very private and very personal experience. But The Phantom of Liberty inverted that concept and had a dozen people sat around a dinner table, all on the bog, where they then excused themselves to go and lock themselves away in a private room and eat a meal.
Was that, am I going mad, Jonathan? Was that made into The Discreet Charm of the Bourgeoisie?
No, The Discreet Charm of the Bourgeoisie, which is a reference in the show I'm going to talk about, is Buñuel was a good one for parodying and ripping up the mores, the social niceties of the life by which we all conduct ourselves. And this show focuses on two movies of Buñuel. Why couldn't he have just called himself
Buñuel?
Buñuel. Yeah, why couldn't he have just built a railway and called himself Brunel?
I know, and lived in Rotherhithe.
Yeah, it would have been a lot easier.
Whatever. Yeah.
But then he'd have been an engineer, not a film director. Anyway, the two movies in question are Exterminating Angel, Me neither, I will
No,
confess.
never heard of that.
And the discreet, as Russ, as you so wisely shared your knowledge of world's film, the discreet charm of the bourgeoisie. And this chappie David Ives has sort of knocked these two films into a show, and Stephen Sondheim's come along and rustled up some songs to go with them. Now, it is a evening of two halves. The first half largely around the discreet charm of the bourgeoisie, which focuses on and they've taken this film and set it around a bunch of mates in New York looking for a place to have brunch. They're full of the pretentiousness that we expect of a brunch eating bunch. Oh, that was a mouthful.
That was good.
Yeah,
well
not
done
bad.
You. That's good.
A brunch eating bunch of people full of middle class, pompous pretentiousness and whatever. And Sondheim nails them to a T. And what makes the show the first half, I should add, what makes the first half so clever, in my opinion, is you can recognize the absolute twats that Sondheim is referring to. We've all met them in our lives. Occasionally, some of us actually slot into that role as to how we conduct ourselves. So I'll stand on no ceremony here, but it's brilliant. Very, very well acted. These bunch of people go from assorted restaurant, Ponzi restaurant, to assorted restaurant, all of which don't seem to have food, all of which seem to have various problems and challenges that lead them going from one to the other. But the cast is fantastic. And in all of these restaurants, the waiters are played by the two same actors, which are Tracy Bennett. Tracy Bennett is a legend. If you ever see a show and Tracy Bennett is in the cast, go and see it, because she is
Tracy Bennett, she's marvellous.
She is fantastic. And a chappie who I believe has come over from America.
Very, very talented actress.
Very. Dennis O'Hare. The two of them play these really exquisitely crafted waiters. But there was a line, I actually went and had to dig out the libretto. There's a line in the show where one of these pompous friends wants a coffee, and in reminiscent of the Monty Python cheese shop sketch, the restaurant turns out to have no food and not much coffee either. And Sondheim has written this brilliant little couplet, which goes, "We do expect a little latte later, but we haven't got a lot of latte now." And those lines, the way they bounce, the way they reference the cup of coffee that the person has asked for, and the humour and the wit and the way Sondheim has played with those words, I just thought that is in a microcosm, and this is Sondheim really in his latter years as well. We do expect a little latte later, but we haven't got a lot of latte now. It's just so clever. And I feel that those who write musicals this day and age should be forced to study Sondheim to understand the wit, the structure, the assonance, the way the words sound, the way they bounce along.
What was that word you just used?
Assonance, when words sound.
Assonance?
Assonance. And the other one, of course, that goes alongside assonance is alliteration.
Alliteration, I'm with you on that.
Alliteration is a little latte. We do expect a little
Take
latte.
Take two, love, still rolling.
And that's sort of the L's and the T's. And then the assonance is where the sounds work together in a very nice way.
Right. Okay.
So, and Sondheim is a master of that. So that is really the first half, as these friends bounce around from restaurant to restaurant. Yeah. One of them is an ambassador who invites them back to his embassy for some sort of soiree party, which becomes the second half of the show, which is the one that's largely based on the movie Exterminating Angel, and where they all fall to the victim of some horrific spell. And they all fall asleep in the study of this embassy. Exquisite set design, I have to say. Exquisite set design. I have to be careful with that one as well.
Yeah, please do.
Exquisite set design, exquisite acting, but a storyline that's as absolutely dull.
Crap. I've heard it. Yes.
Yeah.
When you said it's a game, a friend of mine went to see it this week, and interesting. Said the same thing, that first half was okay, second half was not great.
If they chopped it at the interval, it would make for a very short, neat, very charming tribute to Stephen Sondheim. as his last, because also in the second half where these people they fall asleep. This
Oh
spell
God,
descends
no,
on
no,
them,
no! That would be
which,
fatal. Because if I'm in the
which
theatre and I'm not engaged, and I get dozy, and I see people on stage asleep, boom, I'm going to be gone.
you take the cue, you take the hint. So,
I'll be snoring.
they, yeah, and then they're brought back to life, and it really is a pile of garbage. I've got to be honest, and very tedious. Go and see this show if you like Sondheim and want to be able to tick it off your list of having seen it.
What?
The first
Leave it.
half,
Would you say? I'm being serious now. Would you
Yeah.
say leave at the interval so you won't be disappointed?
This is a show where I would say if you leave at the interval, you won't have missed
Anything.
much wit.
Interesting.
To be honest, the first half,
Interesting.
I wouldn't say it's Sondheim's finest by any means.
So tell me this: is this a load of stuff? I'm using my words carefully. That's just been cobbled together because do you think that it was all completed during his lifetime, or did somebody come along and just go through his notebooks or whatever people
No,
do?
I do believe, reading the program notes, assuming they're telling the truth, that he and this chappie David Ives had been collaborating on a musical about the film. Yeah, listen, Sondheim goes for the obscure. And interestingly, Sondheim has never had, if you think of the big smash hit musicals that Lloyd Webber and Tim Rice have had in their day, or Rodgers and Hammerstein, or even the Boublil and Schoenberg with Les Miserables. Sondheim has never had a show that's run on Broadway for decades. Stephen Schwartz is coming up into this group as well with Wicked, which is a global phenomenon of a show.
Huge hit. I couldn't bear it, but that was me. Couldn't stand it.
Sondheim has never. Okay, some will say, "Well, hang on, Jonathan. What about West Side Story?" Which, of course, he wrote the lyrics for, and that is a smash hit show. And I'm also pretty sure that the Sondheim estate is worth millions from the royalties of his collected works and whatever. That being said, though, when you look at what he's done, it's never been that super duper popular stuff. West Side Story is a classic for sure, but it hasn't been going for 25 or 30 years like Les Mis. And that level of it's a bit niche as to the level of commerciality. Maybe it was for the best that he never achieved that commerciality. You look at Follies, fantastic show, the way it exposes the frailties of life. To hear initially Imelda Staunton, but even better in the recent revival, Joe Riding singing "Losing My Mind," is just,
Did she make it quite as dramatic as Liza Minnelli? Well, I just laugh when I hear her do it. I mean, it's just.
I've excuse me while you expose a chink in my knowledge. I've not heard Liza Minnelli singing
"Losing My Mind." Oh God!
But equally in that show,
give it a rest.
You have the great Tracy Bennett in the recent revival. The great Tracy Bennett singing "I'm Still Here." It's just phenomenal. For me, one of my all-time most entertaining Sondheim songs will be "A Weekend in the Country," which is the song that closes the first half of A Little Night Music.
Nope, never seen that.
Itself loosely based on Ingmar Bergman's "Smiles of a Summer's Night," but the song "A Weekend in the Country" is so clever.
I think where we've gone wrong.
Funny.
I think where we've gone is Stephen Sondheim had based some of his musicals on the canon of the Carry On films. I Would Be There, and I could probably sing along to every note. But "Sunning of a Summer Night" by who the hell?
Ingmar Bergman.
I know he is. I know. Just no, thank you. No. No.
Yeah, you need.
Just not for me.
You're looking for an amalgamation of Peter Rogers' finest.
Yes, I am. This is what I want. I want the wit of Sondheim, but I want Kenneth Williams, Charles Hawtrey, and Liz Fraser in it.
Or perhaps On the Buses, the musical. That would also be another gem. Maybe there just needs to be a musical of 70s sitcoms.
Where have you gone?
I'm here.
I know.
Hello?
I know.
Hello?
No,
Can you hear
thank God
me?
you're the. Hello. No, I can see you. Yeah.
Good,
Fine,
good, good,
fine.
good. Yes, a musical of
Sondheim
70s.
presents Confessions of a Window Cleaner. Oh, that would
Oh,
be the one. What a smash hit that would be. You can have that one, Jonathan.
yeah,
Just give me some
with
royalties.
Robin Asquith grabbing hold of his microphone. You
Hey,
see what I did
I
there?
did Panto with Robin Asquith. God
I mean, back
damn.
in the day, you know,
God damn.
Anna Karen, Olive from On the Buses,
Yeah.
used to be a glamour stripper.
What are we suddenly? She was briefly. She was a very nice woman,
Yes.
apparently. By all accounts, she was great. Apparently, she was a great person.
Talk here, yes, good Lord. This conversation has gone through
I don't know where
30
we've gone. We've
degrees
gone
of
down a rabbit
separation.
hole. We're going to come back up. I'm going to confess something, and you and I have talked about it. I think privately over a Nando's chicken. But you love Sondheim, and I know people who love Sondheim, like they put him on a pedestal. I'm like, yeah, maybe I don't get it. I'm the first to confess. Maybe I just don't see the genius of it. I like it, but I'm not like crazy about it.
He's got the ability to slice through human character. He uses the pen like a scalpel. He really does expose the human condition in his writing. He's very critical of it. He's very perceptive. He's very appreciative. And he writes with very clever words of situations that we can all recognize from wherever
And
we
the
come
one
from.
thing, and this is harking right back to a theme with your reviews over the years on the Midday Show, is this: so many times you go to a new musical and you say, well, God, what did they do? Do they put it into Chat GPT to write the score, the lyrics? Because it's, moon, June, spoon, loon. It's embarrassing. And it's very interesting when you say things like that. I find that very interesting.
Yeah, it's refreshing to hear Sondheim's writing. He was a genius. Now, let me come on to some more new musical writing that's again opened in New York a year or two ago, now made the trip over to London. Some very brave producers have stumped up the cash because it's a big cast and a big show. And the show is called Shucked at the Open Air Theatre in Regent's Park. And it's running until the 14th. So it's got one more week to go at the Open Air Theatre.
One more week.
Indeed.
Thank you very much.
Written by Brandy Clark and Shane. I've got to be pronounced this very carefully. His Shane is McAnally. But if you were to you've got to pronounce that very carefully. Brandy Clark and Shane McAnally have written the musical and directed by the brilliant Jack O'Brien, who is a chap in his 80s.
Wow.
And this guy knows how to direct. This guy, quick little detour. I talked about this before, actually, because I think I referenced the guy who wrote the theme from Taxi, which was Bob James. I won't go up that detour again because I was only there a week or two ago. Anyway, Jack O'Brien directs.
Now I've got the theme of Taxi running in my head. Thanks, Jonathan.
That's right. Now, the cast of Shucked is it's generously cast with an awful lot of talent, including as one of the narrators, the chappie Stephen Webb, which is a name that you will remember, Russ, as the young man from the Dolly Parton musical who lived in that flat on top of his mum and dad's house. Yeah, Stephen Webb. He is equally brilliant as the storyteller. And as one of the storytellers, I think it's Monique Ash Palmer, who's the other storyteller alongside. And this is a deliberately Shucked it's all about, reference to a corn, shucking sweet corn, etc. It is a deliberately corny play. It is extremely corny. The gags are corny. The gags come thick and fast. It's got a strong helping of country theme to it. And it really is the most ridiculously thin, cheesy, corny plotline love story. But it's rather funny. The songs, there are an awful lot of chuckles in the songs. It's not Sondheim material, but the songs.
You don't mean they go to me, to you, to me, to you. You don't
sometimes
mean that.
Sometimes it's of that level, to be fair,
my God.
and well rehearsed. So the comedy is done brilliantly. I would say throughout the evening is immaculately timed. The choreography is very impressive.
Where's it set? Because the only reason I know of it is because I'm on the tube every 7 seconds, and there's posters for it. And it looks just cornfields.
So it's set in the Midwest.
It's in the Midwest.
It's set in the
yes.
Midwest,
Okay,
and then for some obscure reason, our hero finds her way to Florida, Tampa, Florida.
Yep.
Tampa, Florida, where the rest of the show pans out before it returns back to the hometown of the Midwest. Along the way, there's a devious dentist who's the bad guy. There's a very happy, clappy love theme that runs through it. The two improbables find love with each other. The two star-crossed young lovers find love with each other.
Yeah.
It's cheesy corn.
I guess as the show's got a villainous dentist, is the matinee on at 2:30?
Ho, boom, boom! I see what you did there.
Thank you very much. I'll be back at midnight.
And of
Okay.
and of course, Jack O'Brien's other great credit. I don't know if you ever saw the stage show in London of Hairspray.
No.
With Michael Ball, famously as the mum, and the most amazing bit of pantomime get-uppery with him as Tracy Turnblad's mother, directed by this great guy Jack O'Brien, who really has an eye for extracting the entertainment from the everyday. He knows how to make people laugh, and so to that extent, it's a show. The days, I don't know, sometimes the days are warmer, sometimes they're colder. It's only got a week to run. Generally, people come out of Shucked saying that they really enjoyed it. For me,
I would say, would you say it's a hard sell? Because I looked at the posters and I thought, is this engaging me?
It's only
just from the posters,
As I said, the producers, one of whom is Michael Harrison, who's got a very canny eye for a West End show. He's if Cameron McIntosh sits at the top of the Premier League of producers, Michael Harrison is in the very close in the next tier down. Okay. He's part of the producing team. They've only put it on for a very short run at Regent's Park. Albeit that being said, they will have thrown a lot of money at this show. The set is impressive, the cast is huge, the band is lavish, etc., etc., etc. None of those things are cheap. But it's a bit niche, and it's only really been heard of and loved by those people who are devotees of musical theatre. And they're, of course, all wetting themselves. Oh, I must go and see Shucked, and they are going to see Shucked.
As long as they're going and putting bums on seats, excellent.
My overall, it's not a West End show that's going to run and run and run, but I do think, and I sort of wrapped up my review with this, that it does deserve a longer London run. So I'd salute the producers for having the cojones to put the money where their mouths are.
And the cash.
And bring it over from America. It's no small measure.
Explain to people, because when you're putting on a show in London, let's just deal with London for a minute, you're looking at a minimum investment, usually of around 5 million to put on a West End show, easily. So when Jonathan says to have the cojones to put the money in, we're not talking about a few £100,000. You're looking at starting point, 5 million quid.
Yep.
And you don't know how it's going to go.
Indeed.
You're keeping your fingers crossed.
I need to run past you, Russ, a show that I've been thinking of, Springtime for Hitler. I think we could make a fortune with it.
No, it wouldn't work. Never work. No.
But no, you're right.
It would be like if you said to me, why don't we write a sitcom set in occupied France where the Nazis are all funny and the French are funny? That wouldn't work either. It's too sensitive.
Or one set in a department store.
For God's sake, no one would watch that.
Indeed.
Nobody would watch anything like that.
Indeed, or a charming couple of West Indian descent living next to an English racist.
No, it wouldn't work. No. I mean, I said to Vince Powell, I said, Vince, give it up, mate. Don't write that. And he said,
what a genius.
I'm going to listen to you, Russ. He said, that's what Vince said to me.
Moving swiftly on to the last show of this week of my references, which is Fiddler on the Roof, which of course, packed them in last year at the Open Air Theatre,
Oh,
and
yeah.
now is back. That production is back. It's at the Barbican until the middle of July.
Okay.
And then it's going on tour. And in fact, it's on tour across the land until Christmas. And what I will say, it's very, very rare that I have a word of praise for the Arts Council or the associated government that sits behind it. But to be fair, the Arts Council have stumped up some of the cash to allow the show to tour, which is good, because that's taking a big show with a lavish set and a lavish cast around the countryside. It broadly is the same cast as last year at the Open Air Theatre. Chappie called Adam Danheiser, who cut his teeth in Fiddler on the Roof as Laser Wolf, the butcher, on Broadway a good few years ago, and now returns last year to being Tevye. He's back in the role. Lara Pulver, who television viewers may have seen recently in the series Moblands, playing Bella, if anyone's been watching Moblands.
I can't. It's on Paramount Plus, and I haven't got Paramount Plus.
Luckily, well, we get Paramount Plus as part of our Sky Movies subscription.
Well, I haven't got Sky.
Oh, there you go. Okay, so she and last year she was playing Golda. This year she's still playing Golda. Last year I found her Golda to be lacking. For me, it didn't have the right, and it's impossible to define what makes a real Yiddish matriarch. It's real, but you know it when you see it. Last year that was lacking. This year she has got it, and she's mastering the role, and she very much is a Golda that I can believe in. And interestingly, playing the role of Yenta, the gossipy matchmaker, is the lovely Beverly Klein, who back in the day was a Golda herself opposite Henry Goodman at the Savoy.
Henry Goodman.
Yeah. So its Anna Tefkin credentials are quite impeccable. The set is lovely. The set is designed by, let me quick turn up his name. It is Tom Scott, who I believe is the partner of the director Jordan Fine. Tom Scott has created this ingenious set, set in the wheat fields of the Pale of Settlement in Ukraine, as is now.
Ukraine, of course, yeah.
And the wheat fields are beautifully created, and tragically, of course, when we have the pogrom at the end of Act 1 of Fiddler on the Roof, there's smoke, there's fire, there's...
Well, thank goodness that would never happen again.
Brilliant. Well, quite. So as fiddlers go, it's a good one.
Good.
And a lovely night at the theatre, if lovely is the right word. Well, clearly it is, because the show's
it's a brilliant musical. Put anything else aside. It's a fantastic musical. It works. It has depth. It has heart. It tells a real story.
But this is a music, and also a shout out in this show as well for one of the performers, a chap called Raphael Papo, who is the fiddler, who really is given a lot more. He hasn't got many words, because he was never given any words by Sheldon Harnick, who wrote the lyrics. But he is really brought to life as a inspirational figure on his violin, obviously, because he's the fiddler. And his what he adds to the show is lovely. But Fiddler on the Roof is a show. It's a story of hope, and this is what I put in my review. That's interwoven with a never-ending tragedy. It's set in Tsarist Russia, round about the turn of the 20th century, when state-sponsored anti-Semitism was the norm, and the Holocaust, the dark clouds of the Holocaust, hadn't even begun to form. But this show is playing out in 2025 as calls for the destruction of the Jewish state are being echoed around the world. We've got the United Nations spouting blood libels that are being echoed by governments, the media, everywhere. And murderous, literally murderous Jew hatred is manifest from Washington, D.C. to Colorado. And it really, really feels like nothing has changed. Fiddler on the Roof is a beautiful production. It's a fabulous show. Go and see it. Bring your tissues. But it's a beautiful production that's playing to a very, very ugly world.
I read your review because you're very kind. You always send me your reviews sort of early or the moment they come off the press or whatever it is. I thought it was very well crafted, and I thought the way you summed it up was correct.
You know, it's
could argue with it. It was right.
You know, I wrote a piece a few weeks ago, more generally about why is anti-Semitism such a big draw at the box office. You know, Fiddler on the Roof, Merchant of Venice,
Giant.
Well, Giant is a different one, but yes, you're right. And in fact, Giant.
I'm going to shove Giant under that. And I don't mean the movie.
Giant is valid. Giant, as I've
James
said,
Dean movie. I don't mean that one.
Not, you know, Giant is bloody validating a lot of biased and unfair criticism of the Jewish state.
And you and I have discussed Carol Churchill in the part.
Yes.
Yeah. So I was just reading stuff. I couldn't sleep, so just at my desk, like
what, last night?
Yeah. And she's, what is it? Because one of the theatres was sponsored, or something.
Donmar Warehouse
was sponsored by Barclays, and so they've decided, no, we can't have anything to do with Barclays. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, you know, this is just. But she's got form. I mean,
I was discussing this.
She's got some form.
She certainly has.
Dear
I was
God.
discussing this yesterday with a trustee of the Donmar, who is, I think probably the polite way of describing it is very unhappy at this open letter, of which Carol Churchill is one of the more prominent signatories. Yeah. But, you know, sadly, you read down this letter and it's an absolute, you know, it's a who's who of the acting industry.
Well, it's the who's who and the who's what. Like, I don't know who that is. Neither do I care. You've had no impact on my life. I've never heard of you. Shut the hell up. And then there's other people who go, oh, Christ. Well, yeah. And of course, Juliet Stevenson, who can go do one straight away.
Indeed. Sorry. But listen, I have to bid my farewell. So go and see Shucked for a laugh and go and see Fiddler on the Roof for a cry. They're both charming musicals. One's a classic and one's rather clever new writing.
And it's nice that there's new stuff. I like that.
Yep, indeed.
Good for them.
Indeed.
Jonathan Baz, you crazy guy. We will see you in 2 weeks' time.
Until then.
God willing. Enjoy. Bye-bye. And that, now how do we do this? I don't know how. How do I do that? Do I do that? Yeah, that'll do. Okay, so Jonathan Baz, what I love about Jonathan is that he just says he doesn't have to go with the trend or go with anything. I know my hair looks mad. I don't know. I just woke up and I just look a lunatic. Anyway, there we go. No Chantal, I'm sorry. I know the Chantal fan club. I know, but there's no way. She's at a wedding. Apparently she's at a wedding, so she's so sweet. Do you mind if I don't have do the show or go to your friend's wedding? Go to your friend's wedding, for God's sake. Right, I'm going to do this again because what's the hell of having your own little broadcasting setup? You can't do this. There's my mum, and as I said, Mum would have been 100 years old today, June the 6th. Weirdly, the twins were born. It's their birthday tomorrow, twin 1 and twin 2, and they were born on June the 7th, the day after. It would have been weird if they'd been born on the same day, but not to be. Anyway, Mum would have been 100 years old today. So here's to Red Chins. Anybody remember Red Cinzano and soda? She made the best brandy Alexanders I've ever. I know brandy Alexanders. No one drinks them anymore, but back in the day, they were like a fabulous thing. Best brandy Alexanders. Oh man, she just did. And I miss her every single day. I have to be honest. She was always there for me. Always had my back. Always so supportive. Brutally honest. Brutally funny. Didn't give a monkeys. Said what she wanted to say. Made the best Yorkshire puddings I've ever had. It's terrible when you got things that are set and you know you won't attain them again. And I miss her very much. And she's just great. Anyway, happy birthday, Mum. There we are. Up there. Oh, what do we got here? What do we got here? Right. Kimi Lashmar. I'll come on to I'm really upset today about the result of the trial of that poor murdered man walking his dog. I hope Chantal would cheer me up. No, I'll have to cheer you up. Well, I've fallen at the first fence, haven't I, Kimmy? Obviously. Happy birthday to my mum. Lovely trip. Yeah. You know, and we'd always, she had, I wanted to put on a headstone and they wouldn't let me, about the fact I've never known anyone drink so much tea in my life. She drank so much tea. I don't know how many cups, 20 cups, 30 cups a day. Easy. I don't mean the occasional cup. There's always tea. And with Hermes, Sweetex back in those days. Do you remember? Sweetex before Hermesitas. I have a family name which is somewhat similar to that, which I call them. Anyway, Sweetex, she did. Little tweezers on the bloody Sweetex. And anyway, and I'd always run into it, like, I could never go to bed early. I just couldn't. So when I lived at home until I was 83, when I lived at home, I did move out quite early. I lived at home, and I'd always run into her in the kitchen, and we'd have our chats around midnight, 1 in the morning, because she was drinking tea. I'd have sleep. I never went to bed. I never went to sleep for about 3 in the morning. Never. I'd always read books, which was great. What else we got? Paul Claridge. Hope you're well, Paul. Happy heavenly birthday to your mum. Bless you. Thank you. Françoise Pascal. Say it right. LOL. And Flash himself, Barry J. Allen. Savior of the universe, Barry J. Allen. And then with somebody else. Here we go. Oh, let's go to the northeastern United States. I know they don't talk like that, but it's just more entertaining because I don't really have a northeastern United States accent, apart from Harvard Yard. Good day, Russ and Jonathan. Yes, indeed. I hope. Hang on. Oh, this is good news. Now, this is good news. The part of the show that I love when you're interacting. Julie Voice, formerly of Houston, Texas, and now of Guildford, Surrey, via New Zealand. Whatever. Hi, Russ. I'm pleased to announce that I've ditched the crutches and just using a stick. Now, in case you're wondering why, in the plot of Coronation Street meets The Extenders meets Julie Voice is the fact that she had a replacement knee operation. She put pictures on Facebook. Bloody Nora. It looked like the size of a Ford Fiesta on her knee. It was huge. Bloody great thing. Anyway, this was like a few days. Well, it felt like a few days ago to me. So this is... My hair's gone like David Mello, like a lunatic. What's the matter with it? Stupid. Anyway, ditch the crutches. That's very quick. Well done, you. Just using a stick. How the hell? That's fantastic news. Very, very fast. That's faster, I presume, than you thought. Yesterday, I had a bit of a treat. And it's a chap I've known for many, many years, but we rarely kind of meet, but I've known him like forever. Wonderful fellow. He's got his biography coming out soon. And when it's published, I'll get him on the show. Actually, there's 2 of my mates got their biographies coming out. And anyway, he's a very interesting, very fascinating guy. And he said, let's have lunch. No, I never have lunch, really. I don't even bother with lunch, actually. I'm usually just at my desk. I don't bother. And he said, would you like to go? Should we go to the RAC club? Oh, I said, what a treat. What a treat. So we went to the RAC club, he and I, and he invited a mutual friend who happened to be up from miles, hours now, happened to be up in London yesterday. So said to this person, would you like to join us? And I did. Boy, oh boy, I haven't been to the RAC club for like a gazillion years. Bizarrely, at the next table was an old friend of mine, Anthony. Weird, isn't it? 6 degrees of separation. And I'd forgotten how lovely it was. I'd forgotten how there's still little enclaves of London that just feel like London. It was gorgeous there. Oh my God. And I bet if you're a tourist or just walking past, you'd never understand the sheer scale, the size of the place, because it's got a little door. It's not like a huge grand entrance. It's a nice entrance, but it's not like, going to Buckingham Palace or anything. And inside the RAC Club, which I am not a member, just beautiful. And it was a reminder, I guess, of how London could be, was, sort of thing. So here's my point, and I'd love to ask you this. Oh, thank you, Liz. Bless you, Liz. That is so good. I wish you luck. That's very kind of you. Thank you. I've had a kind of series of meetings, business meetings this week, and it's people who lived in London, who were basically born and bred Londoners, and thought, no, I'm out. And one I had this week, fascinating. He came, he was on the show. He started to ask questions on the show, and I thought he was such an interesting guy, a man called Jonathan Gabay, the AI expert. Anyway, might be doing some stuff together, who knows. And it was him and the chap I had lunch with yesterday. I asked the same question, because I'm really very dull. I only have one question. No, I asked the same question. I said, do you miss London? No. Do you regret moving out of London? No. And then I said, how do you feel? Because I'm in London. I'm on the tube. I'm in centre of London, central London all the time, in and out, fiddler's elbow. How do you feel when you come back? And they go, strange. Like a stranger. It doesn't feel the same. And I wonder how you feel. Oh dear. What does Liz Saul say? I'll come back to this point. From the depths of Essex, where I've been to a funeral of a lovely school friend. Oh, crap. So school friend, your age, which is like no age, taken far too soon. And Liz Saul says very rightly, make the most of everything. Guess you don't know what's round the corner. And I can tell you, as a celebrant, boy, oh boy, does that resonate. You never know what's round the damn corner. Not so bad doing the funeral service. And I've got weddings coming up, which I'm very excited about. But not mine. I mean, I'm doing wedding services coming up, which is great. But, if somebody's in their late 80s, 90s, they've had a reasonable innings. It's very sad that they've gone. The family missed them enormously, but at least they got a chance to live. So where Liz's friend is obviously young, presumably illness, I guess. And, make the most of it where you can. Anyway, so my point was, did London, I asked the people who've moved out of London, did it feel like the London you knew, the London you grew up with, the London that you liked? No. And I wonder where you live. Do you feel the same? I know things change. And then people who have no nuance say, well, you can't say this is racist. No, it's nothing to do with that. It's that things evolve. Things change. Doesn't mean we like all the changes. Some of the changes you just have to accept. Some of the changes you won't accept. I won't accept. And you think, why is this being put forward? Why are these changes being shoved in our face? I don't know. I think we're living in a very, very, very weird time in our history. I really, really do. Do you like the way my collar just turns up and looks ludicrous? Yeah, there we go. It's it's funny. On a subconscious level, I must have known it was Mum's 100th birthday because I dreamt about her so vividly last night. I had 3 dreams that all kind of meshed together. One was my little dog, the notorious Ebony the Mini Schnauzer, 16, right? And I picked her in the dream. I picked her up and she just turned into this snarling, ferocious sort of Alsatian thing. I was like, the hell are you? No, that's ridiculous. I was going, stop it. Don't be so silly. You little mini schnauzer, stop it. Well, that was the dream. And then I was back in my old house. Back in the sort of old house of mine. And I had to go pick Ebony up, but she was at school. And I thought, I really don't want to drive all the way across London. This is talk about stress. I don't want to go. And then I came out and she was there. So that was good in the dream. And the place was full of builders. There were dozens of people building things in my house. And I'm going like, I don't I don't remember ordering any building work. What the hell's going on here? And they were building like offices and great big additions to the house. And I think, I don't know who these people are. And there's dozens of workmen busy with wood and timber and metal and scaffolding. And I'm going, what the hell's this? In my dream. Yeah, it was weird, wasn't it? Where's Sigmund? Where's Sigmund when you need him? Right? Where is he? Do dreams, when you dream, do you wake up? Does it take time to shake it off? It takes me a while. Yeah. It takes me a while. And sometimes I wake up and I'm, well, I know I've been dreaming, but I have no idea what I was dreaming about. And other times you wake up and you go, geez, is that real? Did that happen? And you think, no, it's just a dream. Interesting stuff. Yes. It was, how would you feel about it? How many of you have had dealings with the mainstream media? How many of you have given an interview or something like that? And this is not applying to me, by the way. It's just it's a conversation, some advice I was trying to give yesterday. And you've had dealings with the mainstream media, and they say we want to interview about X, Y, Z. And you go, okay, that's fine. It's pretty innocuous. And then you pick up the newspaper, and they have twisted everything. Has that ever happened to you? Has it ever happened? I was trying to explain to my friend, who's a really sophisticated guy and been there, done it, and bought every T-shirt in every shade and color, but seems to have a blind spot to this, which I'm really surprised about. I'm saying, here we go. Let's see what Paul has to say. Paul Claridge. People ask me if I have any regrets about moving to Barnet, Whetstone, after living for many years in Crystal Palace. My answer, no, I don't regret moving here because the area is so nice and a much more relaxed way of life. My only regret is being so far away from a dear friend of mine. Yeah, Crystal Palace, not an easy place to get to. To drive it, nightmare. Barnet to Crystal Palace, shocking. I know that route, diabolical, because that's like going from Barnet to Dulwich, or any of the. It's just, really hard to do that. So you're in Barnet. Oh. Whetstone. Yeah, Whetstone's nice. Whetstone's train service is a bit. Yeah, it's not, but it's pretty up there. So I'm glad you don't regret that. But Paul, you're still in London. You're kind of still in London. I'm talking about people who've moved down, I don't know, Torquay or to Oxford or to wherever they've moved to, and they come back into central London. It's like, ooh, I think it's like being. This is going to sound very strange. I think it's like being an athlete. It's like being an athlete. If you're not in not in training for it, it's a real faff. So if you haven't been in London forever and you've got used to your own rhythm, your own speed of life, and you come into central London, it's like it's a bit much. When I lived in the States and I was working in New York, you had to defeat New York. New York City Manhattan would demolish you. If you weren't strong up there and in the mood and had that vibrancy and had that energy, New York would steamroller over you. And I remember once I went in and I just wasn't feeling it. And I turned the car around and went back. Just couldn't hack it one evening. I just couldn't hack it. The rest of the time, I adored New York. It was energizing. You felt the vibration coming up from the sidewalk, from the pavements, and the energy, the excitement. I loved my time there. It was absolutely fabulous. And I was very young. Paying me a fortune to do something that I absolutely loved. It couldn't have been better. It was the time of Studio 54, the summer of Son of Sam. So every time we went out to dinner, every blonde girl was wearing a dark wig. Yeah. I mean, this guy was completely mad, and was targeting blondes. Who knows why? I mean, just a lunatic. And so there we are. Yeah, they were exciting times. But have you? So my question was, have you ever had dealings with the mainstream media and think you're going to get one thing and you look at the paper and go, I didn't say that? Or they take something and twist it, put it completely out of context. And I was trying to advise my friend yesterday. And I was all the way from Sydney, Australia. Neighbours. Michelle Vaughan. G'day. Your mate is at a wedding. She's not here. I'll tell her you called. Yeah. Well, this is Claridge. I'm only just in London. I walk 15 minutes up the road, and there's a sign which says "Welcome to Hertfordshire." Doesn't feel like London. It's almost the countryside. Don't you understand? Damn it, man. Poor Claridge rides with the Quorn. Doesn't, of course, he doesn't, and he doesn't talk like that either. Yeah, it is 15 minutes. You're in Hertfordshire. Hertfordshire's nice, pretty. Essex is incredibly pretty. I know Liz is there for a sad reason. She's at a funeral, which a week ago I was at a funeral and conducting a funeral in Essex, and it was beautiful countryside. I know it always gets a tough rap, Essex, but it's a very, very, very beautiful, pretty county. What's the best thing that's happened to you this week? What is the best? Give me one thing. Come on, everybody. What's the best thing? Michelle Vaughan in Sydney, Australia. What is the best thing that's happened to you this week? Were there shrimps on the barbie? Were there? The Skippy the kangaroo come round. I mean, I've never been to Australia. Seems a very long way away. Going to Torquay seemed a long way away. Going to Australia, for God's sake. All right. Here's the best thing that happened all week. Michelle Vaughan from Sydney, Australia. I had the week off work. Who the hell fled? Who fed Flipper? We demand answers. Kimi Lashmar. Here we go. Our friends are over from Canada. Oh, Canada. Over from Canada. You're having a meal. CA. I don't know what that means. You got Russian or something. Having a meal with them later. They're over from Canada. Where do they live in Canada? Beautiful place, Canada. Very, very nice. Been there twice. Very brief. I mean, when I say brief, flew in, flew straight. God damn. I did a tour for Capital and for BT Cellnet, and we ended up in Vancouver. And I'd gone from Las Vegas where it was boiling. We ended up in Vancouver where it was snowing. Who the hell knew what to wear? I don't know. And we were doing like a city a day. It was the best week of my life. It was absolutely. Uxbridge. What, on the A40? No, Uxbridge, Toronto. Toronto sounds great. Uxbridge, with respect, not so great. This is my memory of Toronto, right? My memory of Vancouver. We ended up in some. This guy and I, in some. It was a pole dancing. It was some club or something. I don't know what it was. Anyway. I get really quite embarrassed with these things. It's not my cup of tea. But we ended up there nonetheless. We were in Vancouver for one night. I'm at the bar because I don't want to sit down and watch it. I just don't like it. I know you think I would, but I don't. I'm very uncomfortable with all of that. And this girl comes up to me and she's wearing like kind of 3 bits of floss. I mean, she's wearing like, it's freezing outside. It's snowing and she's wearing like sod all. She's one of the dancers. So with great wit and my opening gambit, I said, my goodness me, aren't you a little bit chilly? No, I'm not. I said, well, you're not from Vancouver. Where are you from? I'm from Macclesfield. What are the chances? Pole dancer from Macclesfield in Vancouver. My Toronto story. Oh, hang on. Kimmy's coming back. Oh, we go. No, Brian. Good news from Brian Kingsford. The working week ended. Friday's always the best. Yeah, I like Fridays. Fridays is a good day. I like Fridays and Saturdays. I hate Sundays. Can't stand bloody Sundays. Oh, hang on. These Canadians, they're from Croydon. Well, with respect, you know, like anywhere would be. Croydon, my least. It's really not my favourite city. They got a fab cottage on a lake near Bancroft. Apart from freezing winter, it's a great way of life. It is a fabulous way of life. Yeah. What's this? Best thing that happened to me this week, says Paul Claridge, meeting up with my dear friend in Crystal Palace. He goes, for various reasons, we hadn't seen each other for over 18 months, and she and I were missing each other and finally got together for a day. I took the dogs to meet her. We had a great. You don't drive, Paul, do you? So you took the dogs on public transport? Oh, those I can't take Ebony anywhere now. They're from Croydon. Here is my Toronto story to end the show with. I had to go up when I was living in New York. I had to go up, fly from New York. Flew out of JFK or LaGuardia, I can't remember. Go up to Toronto, fire one advertising agency, and I had to go and see other advertising. I mean, I'm 20 nothing. I've got all this responsibility. It was fantastic. Can you imagine? How old was I? Like 24 or something, and I was like running the work. It was just great. And I had to appoint a new ad agency. That was my deal, right? So I went up there. Never been to Toronto before. And of course, in those days, everybody, oh, hang on, wait a minute, Michelle Vaughan coming back. Like two-way family favourites. We're having a long week. We're having a long weekend this week for the King's birthday. Wow. So they're more patriotic in Australia than they are here under this communist government. Anyway, I didn't say that. You said it. I didn't say it. Duly elected. Not like they lie. Anyway, I'm in Toronto. And we go to the restaurant that's the top of the CN. Is it the CN Tower or the CNN? The CNN Tower or the CN Tower? Anyway, it's bloody tall. And at the top, like the old post office tower, it's got a restaurant with a fabulous view of Toronto. I'm there for one night. Anyway, I'm only there for one night. We're sitting down and everyone's drinking. And back in those days, everybody drank a lot, right? And not like the pious Puritan times we live in now. And I leave the table to go to the loo, right? I come back. My table's gone. My table has gone. All the people that I'm having dinner with, they've gone. I can't find them. And in my head, I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm in an Alfred Hitchcock film. I've gone to the loo in this restaurant. I've come back and nobody. I can't. And then I realized I was so pissed. I hadn't realized how they let me in charge of millions of dollars. I don't know. Right? I was so pissed. I didn't realize it was a revolving restaurant. The tables had moved. But in my head, I was in an Alfred Hitchcock film and they'd all been kidnapped or something and disappeared by Russian spies. Oh dear, it got worse. I sat down back at the table, and in those days I'd have a briefcase full of stuff, right? And I looked down, I thought, shit, my briefcase is gone. And of course, part of the restaurant revolved and part of the restaurant stayed static. And I put my briefcase on the bit that stayed static. I was going around like Sunday night in the London Palladium at the end. Oh God, right. Michelle Vaughan says this. Yeah, been there in Toronto. Paul Carriage, did I had the work off work too. I've had the week off work too. Good for you. And bless you. Yeah, it's absolutely true. I was so embarrassed. The girl from Macclesfield in Vancouver and me being a complete idiot at the top of the the things the things we do and the things we did. Life just seemed much more. Life was just a lot more entertaining, wasn't it? Well, that's it for another week. Bless you for letting me join you all over the world, wherever you may be. I love it. We have people from Australia, from America, from Spain, from France, all across the UK, Scotland, everywhere. Bless you. It's so sweet of you. I shall be back with Neil Long, unless he's pulling another on holiday, on Monday. Have a wonderful weekend. If you're in Australia, have a great long weekend for the King's birthday. Dip, dip, dip. I don't know why I brought in the Scouts. I've absolutely not. And did I go on the glass floor? No, I bloody didn't. I'm terrified of things like that. No. And Michelle Vaughan, always Sydney, Australia, gives our last word of the show. Good night. And as I always say, no hurty words. Good night.